Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vadidamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. This morning, during meditation, the word that came to me very strongly for the topic of today's episode is the word steadiness. And today I want to explore how this concept helps us in life. It's a word we don't use that much, but today I want to make that one of your most favorite words and ideas so that you can really start to navigate all of life's challenges with greater ease. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savitri Amba, director of the American Reiki Academy, Los Angeles' oldest Reiki school, and the Vedic Healing Center. I'm a Reiki master, Vedic healing master, clairaudient channel, and healer. I've practiced and taught spiritual self-development and healing for more than 35 years, led pilgrimages to India, and studied with blessed Indian gurus. In this show, we cover topics related to metaphysics, Reiki, Vedic healing, manifestation, spiritual growth, and feng shui based upon my studies and work in these disciplines. The aim of this show is to help you awaken, develop, and tap into your spiritual power in order that you may live well, manifest your dreams, and ultimately fulfill your unique divine destiny, all by working from the inside out. It begins with energy. Welcome to this episode, and the topic is the notion of steadiness. Now, when we think about all of the spiritual practices that we do, the aim of them, we may say, is to create peace, to create balance, to create focus. So many attributes of this practice, of these beautiful techniques that we've been given. And one of them we don't speak about that much, I think, or I don't hear this word used that much, is steadiness. So steadiness is an interesting concept. It's the ability to kind of combine all of those other attributes, to churn up or call forth, let's say, not churn, call forth that peace, that balance, that strength, and remain steady. Remain steady no matter what is happening in our lives. And I've had the beautiful fortune of meeting very interesting and expanded and just amazing yogis and swamis, they're spiritual teachers in India, gurus. And the thing you observe in them is this steadiness. If something happens in, let's say there's some of them maybe have big ashrams and they have lots of things to attend to, many, many responsibilities. And some of the teachers I'm referring to are complete unknowns, but were very, or are very, if they're still living, I'd say advanced souls, evolved souls, people who have worked on themselves, who have a cultivated, great presence through these techniques such as meditation and yoga and breathing and Reiki, whatever it is, whatever ways they have worked with energy, pranayama, so many different ways we work with this internal force. So the thing you observe in them is this steadiness. When you think about and of course we see the peace. We see the peace. We see the strength. We see all these other things. But the steadiness is really amazing to watch. If you think about like somebody walking on a tightrope, they have focus, of course. They need focus to stay balanced. They have balance. They have to have balance so they don't fall off. And they have to have steadiness. Steadiness is something I want to suggest that you think about today as you go through any problems that you're having. Can I be steady in this situation? Can I be like that tightrope walker and just remain on this rope, this little skinny rope, and remain steady? It's one of the virtues really that we cultivate when we're doing our practice. So we think a lot about yogis like sitting up in the Himalayas or in this pristine area meditating, but in India, and that's wonderful because the atmosphere is contributing to the going within and the cultivating of all the qualities that we would like. But in India, you'll also see yogis in the midst of a very, very, very busy area, a city, a village, an ashram town where there are lots of pilgrims coming, people coming seeking, people getting off buses with suitcases and cows walking by and dogs in the street. And then you have an array of vehicles, which is interesting, just as you have lots of vehicles on the street if you live in a city. But in India, you have lots of different sizes of vehicles, sometimes on small roads. So you might see a bus, you might see a big truck, you might see a little tiny auto rickshaw, you'll see somebody on a bike. It's just and of course a car. You might see a pedal rickshaw, which is, a guy on a bike with basically a little cabin behind him, and he's got passengers in the cabin, and he's pedaling his bike and taking his passengers through these streets, winding around these streets and all these obstacles and all these things in the way and the different sizes of vehicles and everybody beeping their horn or ringing a bell on the bike. Lots of noise. But one thing I always note in India is, I call it a divine chaos. I do not, for the most part, feel aggression. What I have felt there is a lot of traffic in places, but a great adjustment, a great, adjustment to what is happening. So no friction, just things happening. So I need to adjust. I need to go here. I need to go there. I need to move this way. I need to move that way. And so always there's this divine chaos going on and people adjusting and going around each other and beeping their horns. But it's all kind of working out. And what being in that environment probably teaches you also is this steadiness. You have to be steady to navigate this traffic. But what I was going to say is you'll sometimes see a yogi, and by a yogi I mean basically a renunciate. This is somebody who has given up being a householder, having a family, is simply here to work on his or her, could be spiritual evolution, keeping in mind that we are here ultimately as souls to evolve. We're going to leave here, so might as well work on the inner space now. Sometime we aren't going to be without these bodies, without these families, without these homes, without all the stuff, but we'll be left alone, and that will be us alone with our spirit. That's just it. Our essence will be there, so might as well work on that space now. And so a yogi has, not always, but many times has chosen the path of not being in a house with a family, not choosing to have a family, and just leading a life of being a renunciate, renouncing everything, renouncing material possessions as much as he can. He may have a bowl to eat. He may have clothing on his back, just having very, very minimal objects. But what you find when you see this is an individual who is quite steady. And I'm not saying all, but if you have the good fortune of meeting someone who is really simply working on his or her spiritual practice and has been courageous enough, because it takes courage to say, I don't need any of this material stuff. I'm going to just live simply with the clothing on my back and a small bowl that I carry with me, some few possessions, and I will go from town to town. I will go to sacred pilgrimage spots and just work on connecting with the divine. And so when you get to meet such individuals, it's such a fascinating energetic experience. You feel this steadiness of being, and you witness that as he may be sitting. If it's a man, he may be sitting in the midst of all this traffic by the side of the road with his eyes closed, chanting or meditating, maybe with a mala, holding a mala, prayer beads, and chanting. And you might say, oh, how can this person be sitting here? It's so noisy. Why did he choose this place? Well, there are probably many reasons he is sitting there, but the choice of that place is quite interesting, because it affords him the opportunity to really practice this internal work. See, it's easy to practice peace when you go into a church. It's easy to practice meditation when you go into a temple. It's easy to practice chanting when you go to an ashram. But if you are to sit in the midst of a busy city with all the chaos around you, think about the busiest street that you know. The busiest street. Could you sit there and find peace and steadiness and grace and focus and tranquility? There are cars rushing all around you. There are people beeping. There are people yelling, maybe. Could you access some presence? So this is what the universe is asking of us every day. The universe around us, our lives, are asking us to find this steadiness in the midst of all the problems, the challenges, the obstacles. And this steadiness is cultivated only through a dedicated spiritual practice. This is what I teach. This is what I love. This is what has helped me. This is what I have spent more than 35 years studying. And it's what I hopefully pass on to those who are interested. Your spiritual practice will take on many forms. It will be comprised of different elements. And you will probably dip in and out of elements, and then you will find what really works for you. And it will change also as you grow and as you evolve, as we all grow and evolve and deepen. So this is one of the reasons I returned to India so many times, to study with teachers there and to be immersed in their energy fields. And I'm going to do an episode actually about this because it needs more attention than I can afford right now as a passing comment, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to just say that sitting in the presence of a teacher, studying in a very intimate and personal way, is quite an extraordinary experience, because you become immersed in that teacher's energy field. So the teacher can teach you techniques, but it's the energy of the teacher that you're also absorbing. I had the good fortune of studying with my Reiki master this way for many, many years. She taught me Reiki in the beginning, but the experience was a lifelong experience of studying with her and being immersed in her energy field and all the benefits of really you're absorbing what she has gleaned from maybe many lifetimes also. So in India, I sat with many gurus and had the beautiful experiences of just being in the presence and feeling. So studying techniques, yes, but feeling the presence, feeling the grace, the power, the strength, the focus, the humor, the lightness of being, because all of them have that in common. A great, great, great lightness of being, and witnessing the steadiness, no matter what was happening, no matter what problem was given to them, the steadiness with how this problem was going to be handled. And of course, at the core of all of it, the steadiness comes from surrendering, from doing your part, but then releasing it to the universe, surrendering it. I use this term a lot. I remember Guruji saying the highest form of yoga is being in complete surrender. And when we work with manifestation techniques, you might be trying to create something in your life, and so you're working on it, and maybe you're doing some visualization around it, or you're journaling, or you're conjuring up this new thing in your life on paper, maybe you're drawing it. When we do that, there's a point where we finish the process and then we release it. We release it to the universe. That's the surrendering. And when I teach people about this process of pulling things into your life that you would like, I always give this sentence, and maybe this will help you. It's a way of completing the surrender. So you can say, this or something better now comes to me. This or something better. And what you're doing in that instance is saying, this thing that I wanted, that I told the universe I would like this exact thing, you're saying something better, something I can't even envision. Here, I leave it to you, universe. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you order something and the waitress says, there's a chef special today. And you say, okay, I'll take it. I'll just leave it to the chef, whatever it is. Let the chef make it. So let God, let the universe, let the divine bring you something better, something more than you could even imagine. You spent a long time writing about what you wanted, doing creative visualization, drawing on paper, focusing on this, doing whatever you needed to do to collapse timelines, as they say. That's a common term you'll hear these days, to bring something to you more readily and more quickly. There's a big emphasis on, speeding things up. And can you pull something to you in real time more quickly? Well, in the spiritual practice, we're not trying to speed things up. We're aspiring to, putting forth our plans, but allowing divine timing, divine wisdom to work. There's another element out there beyond us, bigger than us, that we accept. So when you're working with your projects and you have some obstacles and you're saying, okay, I'm going to bypass all of this and I'm going to really put out there what I desire, we release it, we surrender it, this or something better. We let it go. We put the request with our altar in our meditation space, whatever you use as your sacred workspace. And then we remain steady no matter what comes our way, because we know there's great trust that the universe is supporting us. I've heard people say this, that the universe is neutral, that it's just mirroring back to us. But I want to suggest the universe is a supportive place. So mirroring back to us, like if you become very negative, you're going to receive negativity back to you. If you're positive, you're going to see the positive. It's like a mirror. This is true. However, the universe is incredibly supportive. And so sometimes in your misery, In your extreme moments of sadness and misery, you are also calling to you what you need and desire. You don't always have to raise your vibration, be high vibe, as people say, in order to attract what you need and desire. See, the universe, God, source energy, the divine, has a wisdom and an intelligence greater than you and knows what is appropriate for you in every given moment. So it's up to you to tune in to this infinite wisdom. And don't worry if you sometimes have sad days, because you're still tuning in. You're still tuning in that sadness. And all of these emotions are giving you the opportunity to pull it all back in and become like that tightrope walker. Become extremely steady on that rope. There's a neighbor I have, and they have two young teenage girls, and they have one of those, I don't know what they're called, but it's like a tightrope, and it's they hook it now between two trees and walk on it. I've seen people doing it on the beach also, hooking it up where they can to two poles. So, and then one of the young girls gets on that tension rod, the tension rope, and walks from one tree to another. And one of the girls is really, really good at it. And the other one, her sister, is still learning. And it's such an interesting process. I watch them. I watch how they're balancing and the steadiness that they're aiming for, because only when there's steadiness can they accomplish that task of moving from one tree to another. So can you, in the midst of everything you're trying to create, every problem you're having, remain steady no matter what? This is the soft challenge for today. And as always, I'll chant some sacred sounds to help bring in that steadiness that we need to sit in the midst of the traffic of life and be peaceful, be successful, be good, no matter what is occurring outside of us. You can think about that yogi. Maybe you can picture him sitting dressed in orange robes with just a little sack with him that he has his bowl in that he eats from, maybe a few coins, maybe some other small objects, and just sitting, chanting, eyes closed, traffic all around him, dogs and people walking and noise and bicycles and auto rickshaws and cars and buses and trucks, and he's sitting and he's chanting. This is the kind of steadiness we aspire to. And it will help you when we, all of us, can move into that space, and it will help also others around us. So your energy pours forth into the atmosphere and hopefully positively influences others around you. And one more thing back to that yogi. So that yogi is not screaming. He's not loud. He's not blowing a horn. And yet you want to interact with him. You want to go sit there. His energy pulls you. You want to just sit in that field, in the force field around him. You want to, there's something there that pulls you. And so I've had that experience in India where I saw someone like this and I wanted to just go be near that presence. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you feel, oh, I don't want to disturb this individual. But remember, that individual is probably not disturbed by anything. This is the steadiness, the presence that he is creating. That let nothing disturb him. And it's the same kind of energy that drew me for decades back to India to sit with my teachers and, yes, learn techniques, but be in the energy field, Therefore, the soft challenge of the day is to remember this word, steadiness. And when you're encountering something that is difficult, say to yourself, can I remain steady no matter what is happening here? Can I remain steady? Just being in this steadiness and just allowing then things to occur. But you are steady. You are like the tree, just being grounded, secure, steady as things move around you like a tree. I'm looking out my window and there's a big tree in front of me, and I'm thinking how steady that tree is while all the things happen around him or her, and all the things that tree has witnessed and just remained steady no matter what, as the traffic goes by, as people walk by, as dogs and cats and animals and coyotes and skunks move around, squirrels move around this neighborhood, and that tree remains steady like that yogi. So can you be steady in your life no matter what? The ability to remain like that in that space is going to come through the practice, your spiritual practice, all of these beautiful techniques, and also it's going to come through a conscious decision. That's why I said the soft challenge is to remember the idea of steadiness, because the spiritual practitioner, the healer, the yogi is working on the inner space. And so becoming aware of, oh, this is a time to become steady. I'm actually doing it. It's interesting. You start watching yourself. And with the techniques that we practice, they're going to automatically help you get to the spaces that you want to get to. The peace, the balance, the focus, the tranquility, the strength the steadiness, the techniques are going to automatically allow you to move into those spaces. But there'll also be the awareness that, something is changing and I feel more steady. So observe, be the observer in your life, and watch and marvel at how your practice is transforming you. And then go deeper. Do it more. More Reiki, more breathing, more meditation, more chanting, more visualization. In Vedic healing, we work with yantras, sacred geometry. So do more. Do more. It's endless. It's endless. Guruji, the last thing I'll say is Guruji first of all, he was a wealth of information, knowledge, wisdom, methods, techniques that transform the being, and it was never ending. It was never ending, and the interesting thing was, you left feeling so full, but also wanting more. It's like when you take a drink of water, or you get something that your system has been craving for a long time. Let's say you haven't had a relationship for a long time, and then you fall in love, and you're so elated, and you say, this is a fullness that I was yearning for, and I didn't even know, this love. And so these spiritual techniques are like that. You learn them, you do them, you benefit from them, and then you want more because you feel the change that is happening in you. So, soft challenge today is steadiness. Can you be steady no matter what? Can you catch yourself also when you're not being steady? If you're kind of flipping out, I couldn't think of a good word, over something. Can you dial it back in and say, I'm going to choose steadiness here? And if it helps you in that moment to not only make the conscious decision, but take a breath in and a breath out, and come back to center. Always coming back to center, which is where the steadiness lives. One of the simplest practices to regain your center. Reconnect with your center. Chant Om. You can chant it 3 times. There are many ways actually to chant Om. But if you find yourself moving a little into chaos, breathe. Chant Om. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amriteshwaraye Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.